Is it possible that they'll kind of just dig in and this will just be a very protracted war?
Well, that is certainly an option. But I think I go back to my point of their culminating, that they are running out of manpower and equipment and resources. They're very much focused now just in the east and as you say, trying to look at Odessa because that would be a key strategic objective for them. But all that we see is that they just do not have the capability and the resources conventionally to push that home. Now, if they can take the Donbass and potentially hold that, then that might be a position where the Russians could then go to the negotiation table. But I think it's very finely balanced. I think, that if the Ukrainian military do get the long-range weaponry that they're after, with everything else that they've got and the other capabilities, the drones, etc., that the Russians are literally going to run out of tanks and manpower. So I expect their objectives now are very focused, probably to the Donbass. I think Odessa might be a step too far for them because, of course, if they don't win quickly, they could lose everything because they've thrown so much at the Ukrainian war. The idea of the Russians having a conventional conflict with the West now are ridiculous. I mean, we would roll over them so quickly because our capability is so much superior to theirs. So let's hope that the Russians do decide to culminate and get to the negotiation table because I don't think they're going to go very much further, not with the current weapons that they have available to them.
Well, fascinating, isn't it? We saw, of course, President Zelensky go to Kyiv, the furthest I think he's been outside of Kyiv, over the last 24 hours or so, maybe a sign that he feels he can take more risks. But just finally, Hamish, you talked about conventional war, didn't you? What did you make of the interview with the Russian ambassador yesterday? I mean, the Russians always flirting with this idea, aren't they, of the use, at least, of tactical nuclear weapons?
Well, I found it pretty distasteful, as I think others do. And the two issues you discuss, nuclear and also the devastating activities they've committed in Bucha, saying that it's made up, is ridiculous. But on the nuclear side, again, I think the ambassador was talking rubbish. He said that the Russians would only use nuclear weapons if the Russian state was could be compromised. Now, my understanding of Russian military doctrine, that is true for strategic nuclear weapons. These are intercontinental ballistic missiles that, in effect, could wipe out towns and cities in a wonder. It doesn't include tactical nuclear weapons that we're talking about here. These are smaller but very devastating weapons that could be used in a battlefield. And the Russian doctrine there, as I understand it, they would use those either to prevent defeat or to gain victory when all else has failed. And you could interpret that the possibility of them being used in the Donbass is not necessarily likely, but certainly could be there. The ambassador saying that it wouldn't be used, I think, is rubbish, but it's part of the Russian narrative. He knows he's got to tell the story that he's been told from Moscow. Otherwise, he's on a pretty quick trip to the salt mines of the Urals, I expect.